Football is awesome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Friday Night Roots. I'm your host, Justin Thomas. Do me a huge favor, everybody. Please like this video, share the video, subscribe if you can. Take any love and appreciation I can get. Super appreciate it. Still on the road for my day job, so I'm traveling. You'll see a hotel again tonight, but I will be back home in my usual surroundings of my bedroom. Not that it's that exciting, but I will be home tomorrow to make more videos from home, so it doesn't look like I know my background's kind of boring, but we'll make it more exciting once we get home. So appreciate that. Super excited to do this video today. I'm going to be previewing the Texans-Chiefs game. And then also previewing the Commanders-Lions game. So super excited to do that. And as always, let's talk some ball. So Saturday the 18th, we got the Texans taking on the Chiefs. That's going to be such an exciting matchup. That's the one of the earlier games. So the Texans are headed to Arrowhead, where it's cold and a hard place to win, frankly. It'll be on ESPN, so super pumped for that. The Chiefs come in as 7.5 point favorites with a 45.5 over under. So nothing's too shocking there, just due to the fact that it's the Kansas City Chiefs and they know how to win football games. I really give the Kansas City Chiefs about an 80% chance to win this game. As much as it kills me being a Niners fan and losing 2 Super Bowls to them, I can't not. I give the Chiefs about an 80% chance to win it. It's probably a little bit better for most people, but I give them about an 80% chance. Patrick Mahomes statistically has had one of his worst years, though. I think he's really only had he's under 4,000 yards. He's got 25 or 26 touchdowns on I think 11 interceptions, or no, maybe 16 interceptions, I forget, but not his best year statistically. Kareem Hunt's having a pretty good year, but with Isaiah Pacheco back, he'll kind of take a back burner, and of course Pacheco's playing like Pacheco. And then the guy dating Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, he's coming in off a monster year as always. I wouldn't say Kelce's had a monster year. I'm sorry, maybe I misspoke. He's had a pretty good year, but you know how he is in the playoffs. It's like Kelce could play like crap in the regular season, but for some reason once the big lights come on, Kelce plays like an absolute dog. So definitely someone to keep an eye on it. And the Chiefs defense, Nick Bolton, Justin Reed, they both are, I think Nick Bolton's over 100 tackles, Justin Reed's at 85 tackles. That Chiefs defense is like a list of names you don't hear every day, but are really good. Karlaftis, obviously Chris Jones, McDuffie. I mean, the Chiefs defense is loaded, and then you put him behind a guy, I'd say probably the most consistent defensive coordinator, the past few years, maybe not the best every year, right? But the most consistent in-house defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo for the Chiefs. He's a huge part of what the Chiefs are trying to do. And not only that, ultimately we all know the exciting part of this. The Chiefs are going to be the 10th team to try and get a three-peat Super Bowl. And let's see if they can actually, accomplish that. I know the Chiefs going into this game, they're gonna want to spread the wealth here. They're gonna want to use Pacheco, but also use Hollywood Brown, D Hop, and Xavier Worthy. They're gonna really want to spread the ball around. Like I said, I think the Chiefs' defense is really their shining point. All the Chiefs really have to do, in my opinion, to win this game is just not make mistakes and not turn the ball over. I think if the Chiefs maintain themselves, keep themselves composed. Patrick Mahomes is always a scary prospect, right? Tell me how many times you've been watching a football game and there's less than 2 minutes left and Patrick Mahomes gets the ball and you're like, fuck, we've seen this story 100 fucking times. He goes down the field, wins the game. I mean, that's just, and I don't think, you can debate me down in the comments. Listen, everyone says most people say quarterback isn't a winning stat. With Patrick Mahomes, he might be the one exception in football. And I'll give maybe Brady too a little bit, but Patrick Mahomes might really be the true exception to that. He could play like shit, but the guy wins games. When the moment's the brightest, he's the best. And ultimately, that's something you can't teach. It's something you can't coach. You just have to have it. And if you have it, you have it. So definitely, and I'm not trying to, worship the Chiefs here, but ultimately, it's fact, and I love good football, and the Chiefs probably play the most fundamentally sound football of any football team I've seen in recent years. They're just so fundamentally sound. They don't make mistakes, and ultimately, they just put their hearts out onto it. So anyway, let's talk about the Texans a little bit. I gave the Chiefs an 80% probability. I'm really giving the Texans more like a 20% probability. And, at halftime, if the Texans are down, maybe even a 10%, just kind of retract it there. The Chiefs offense, or the Texans offense hasn't been that bad, except for their offensive line. That's been the real kicker of this year. Their offensive line's been terrible. CJ's been running around like a chicken with his head cut off since the beginning. So ultimately, CJ comes off a good year, still with 20 touchdowns. He had like 3,700 yards or something. And Joe Mixon over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. Nico Collins over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. So I'm super excited for that. I think that the Texans offense can do some damage if they can run the football ultimately. And of course I say that a lot, running the football, people don't realize how important it is to run the football and what that can really do to your football team. It sets up the play action, it sets up the RPO. And with a team like the Chiefs, because the Chiefs offense hasn't been playing that great, this is a perfect opportunity for the Texans. I think beating the Chiefs, the key is to get up early. I think it's to get up early and just push. The Chiefs are one of those teams you can't like get to the third quarter and go, we can rest now. No, you can't do that with the Chiefs. Like I said, unless the CJ's really got to find his rhythm, check downs. I don't care what they have to do. They got to run the football. And of course the Texans defense I love. Stingley Jr. has been an absolute menace to defenses. I know he had like 2 picks last week. The Texans defense comes in off another 4 interception performance. They are crushing it. They lead the league in interceptions in the defensive secondary. Danielle Hunter has 12 sacks. Will Anderson Jr. 11 sacks. I just think that Texans defense is on fire. D'Amico Ryans has got them, just moving around the field, making tackles and making explosive plays. Something I really think about when it comes to this matchup. I think the Texans I just don't think they have it, just because I know how the Chiefs play. They just play such fundamentally sound football. Here, the key to the beating the Chiefs here, if I'm the Texans, I know I say it a lot, run the football, and ultimately you're really going to have to spread out that defense. Because if you keep that defense contained in a short field scenario, that's where the Chiefs, they thrive, they love it. And I think the Chiefs are like 4th in blitzing. So they blitz like 38% of the time, and Steve Spagnuolo is very creative with it. A lot of corner blitzes, a lot of nickel safety blitzes, a lot of stunts up front with Chris Jones. So something to look out for the Texans. And if I'm CJ Stroud, strap your chin, your chin strap tight this game. It's going to be a long one if your O-line can't block. So that's why I think there's a lot of pressure on D'Amico. Get the ball out quick, and as always, run the football. So I'm going to predict this game. I really have a prediction for this game. I got the Chiefs 26 to Texans 17. I just think the Chiefs, I think they're too good. I think if the Chiefs get ahead, or God forbid, CJ makes one little mistake, one little slip, and that'll be it. And unfortunately, or the end of the game comes around, Patrick Mahomes has the ball with around 2 minutes or even 3 minutes, and he's got to drive down the field. That's just where the Chiefs thrive. They thrive in those moments, and I think Travis Kelce will be a big impact. I know he's, like I said, had a slower year, but still a great year, but a slower year for him. He's just good, and he shows up when he needs to. So yeah, it'll be exciting to see. The key players, obviously the quarterbacks, CJ and Patrick. If Patrick doesn't mitigates his mistakes, CJ mitigates his mistakes, we could have a good football game. And let's not forget these teams played each other, I think, in week 16, week 11, and the Chiefs ended up winning that game. And they didn't win by too much. The Texans kept up with them until about halfway through the game, and then of course once the Chiefs they basically destroy your will at a certain point, and after that it's really hard to come back. But I think the Texans, they'll both be watching the film of that game to kind of learn and grow from it. So yeah, super excited. I got Chiefs 26-17. Let's move on to the next one. Commanders-Lions, Saturday the 18th. Wow, super excited for this one. Primetime game. This is the one the whole country's been waiting for. Jayden Daniels looks like a 5-year veteran out there. He looks like, he's looking better than Jordan Love, who just got $55 million. It's crazy. Or $52 million. I forget. But yeah, super excited for this game. That'll be in Detroit. So, Commanders will be going on the road. The spread, I think the Lions are 9.5 point favorites, over under 55.5 points, both super, super dynamic offenses. So I'm going to give the Detroit Lions the 80% win probability here over the Commanders, just because the Lions, I think, are running the number one offense right now in points per game. They're like 33.28 or 33.8 points per game, which is first in the NFL. They can run the football. Jahmyr Gibbs is averaging like 4.8 yards a carry, 4.6 yards a carry. Montgomery's coming back. He's officially off the injury report. So, and not only that, Jared Goff has had a menace of a season. Probably his best in his career. He's coming off 37 touchdowns, 4,600 yards, and 11 interceptions. Holy shit. Hats off to Jared Goff this year. He's absolutely crushing it. So, yeah, ultimately it's just going to be really hard for the Commanders' defense, and that's where I think it's going to end up. Yeah, and Jahmyr Gibbs has like 16 touchdowns. Not only that, 52 receptions. Then on the passing side of it, Jared Goff's favorite target, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown with 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns. Montgomery, I don't think if he got that injury, he'd have more touchdowns and yards, but he ended up with about 750 yards and 12 touchdowns. So Montgomery's going to be a huge impact now that they got Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery, so that's going to add another layer to that already fantastic offense. And a little sneaky guy, Jameson Williams. You really kind of forget about him because of all the other weapons that the Lions have, but that dude is fast. You see him run down the field, he's quick. So that'll be kind of an exciting comparison to add to this game. Kind of the key, bright spots for the Lions defense. Brian Branch, 109 tackles, 4 interceptions. Those 4 interceptions are just amazing. Kirby Joseph, 9 interceptions, and that makes him the league leader in interceptions. So that's really cool. And then Zadarius Smith, 9 sacks. Unfortunately, Hutchinson's out, but could come back for the Super Bowl if they end up making it. I just think the Lions are such a well-rounded football team, and they're going to really take it to the Commanders. But, yeah, let's talk about the Commanders a little bit. I give them that 20% chance probability to win. The offense is just absolutely outstanding. Jaden Daniels, like I said, looks like a fifth-year veteran. He looks like he's so cool, calm, and collected, and he just wins games, and he's going to be – I think he'll be the next multi-year MVP type. He's so good at what he does. He's so dynamic with the football, unlike any rookie I've really ever seen coming out of the gate, right? Maybe Josh Allen was similar looking, but, yeah, Jaden Daniels is – I feel bad for, the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Eagles, and the Giants, because Jaden Daniels is someone they're going to have to deal with for a while. Jaden Daniels ended up with like 3,500 passing yards, 25 touchdowns. Scary Terry's had another great year with 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns. Brian Robertson Jr., 800 yards, 8 touchdowns. Zach Ertz, I think 66 receptions, 654 yards. The Commanders' offense is fantastic, and Jaden Daniels adds such a crazy aspect to him. And when they played their game last week against the Bucs, it was so cool to watch Jaden Daniels on these RPO kind of shuffle pass. When the linebacker has to decide between going for the quarterback and covering the check down receiver or any receiver, right? That linebacker sometimes has to choose. Do I go for the quarterback or do I sit here and wait for him to pass the ball? Well, with Jaden, he doesn't really give you an option. Once Jaden sees that you either are keeping it or that you're going with the receiver, he's going to take off. And then once on the latter end of that, if he sees you're going to go for him, he's going to dump that ball right behind you, and he's just killing defenses that way. But the concern for me when it comes to the Commanders is the Commanders' defense. They're like, I think, second to last in stopping the run against running backs, so that is not good. They do have a few defensive stars I wanted to highlight. Frankie Louvu, 8 sacks, 99 tackles. Bobby Wagner, 132 tackles. Jeremy Chin, 107 tackles and 2 sacks. The thing that concerns me about Bobby Wagner is Bobby Wagner is dealing with that ankle injury, and he's right now listed as questionable. But he did say, in an interview that he is playing. So, I know for formality reasons they have to list him as questionable, but I know he did practice today, so it'll be exciting to get him, really to get him back up. When it comes to Detroit and the Commanders' history, Detroit leads them 4-1 in the last 5 games. So, like I said, it'll just be, can the Commanders step up and do it? That's all it comes down to. Who plays better football? And, the Lions have, in the last, 5 times they've met, the Lions have outscored them 136 to 108 in those games. So that's just, that's just a clear sign of who the better franchise is. But let's not forget, this Commanders franchise is like on a full revival with their coaching. I love Cliff Kingsbury. I love Dan Quinn. I love what that whole team is doing. I think my final prediction for this is Lions 33-19. I want to give the Commanders a stronger probability than 20-25%, but I just can't. I think the Lions' offense is so dynamic, and ultimately, what's going to happen, or I think is going to happen, because the Commanders have struggled in running the football. I think the Lions are just going to pound it. I don't even think they pass that much. I think they pound it and pound it and pound it, and if they can't pound it, they do these incredible Ben Johnson offensive checkdown screens, crossers, and then next thing you know, you got J-Mo running down the field wide open. So I just think I can't give the Commanders the cover on it. I just can't. I think the Commanders' defense is going to struggle, but I'm really hoping for an offensive game, right? I'm really hoping Jaden Daniels, as long as he doesn't make too many mistakes and he scores almost every drive, I think they can keep up with the Lions. It really comes down to the defense in the end, the line of scrimmage, and if Jaden Daniels can, deliver the ball and be the good quarterback that he looks like he is. So like I said, Lions 33-19. Don't worry, I think tomorrow, when I get home, I'm gonna also preview the Rams Eagles and the Bills Ravens game. So I will do that tomorrow when I get an opportunity. So don't worry, that's coming. And then other NFL news, before I close out, I wanted to talk about a couple other things in the NFL. I saw Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee today said, his future with the Jets really is determined by the new GM and coach, which makes perfect sense to me. I love Aaron Rodgers, and I really like him more now that I watched that Netflix documentary Enigma about him. I thought it was really good, and I thought you really saw the human side of someone who's in such a stressful spotlight. So I don't know. I do think it's time for him to retire, but I think Aaron Rodgers at this point isn't looking to win a Super Bowl. I think ultimately all he's trying to do is just end on a good note, end on making the playoffs or end on a playoff run. I think that's all he wants, and I don't hate it for him. Do I think they're going to give him $50 million? Absolutely fucking not, but who knows what Aaron Rodgers' career looks like the next year or two. It'll be interesting to see if he ends up nowhere and kind of what, media shitstorm that'll start. Arthur Smith interviewed with the Jets. This one kind of annoys me, but not in like a bad way, not like Arthur Smith did anything wrong or the Jets did anything wrong. I just don't know why Arthur Smith, who I see as one of the better offensive minds in football, I really do. I don't think Atlanta should have fired him. I think Arthur Smith has what it takes. I just think Arthur Smith's never really had the personnel and the players to back up that winning. I think Arthur Smith to the Jets, don't have too many thoughts on it other than why Arthur Smith. Why would you even want to consider that job? I know Woody Johnson is one of the worst owners, and someone I consider one of the worst owners in the NFL, so I wouldn't want to work for him. But I digress. The Jets do have a lot of weapons, so who knows what that could turn into. And then before I close, Cowboys are going to interview Eagles OC Kellen Moore, which I thought was rather interesting. Not once again on this topic. Not too many thoughts. I just don't think any way in hell Kellen Moore would ever take the Dallas job. Once again, I think I've talked about the Dallas job before with McCarthy and Prime. I don't know. I don't know who wants to work for Jerry Jones, and not only that, the Cowboys' contract situation with Dak at $60 million per year, CD at $35, and then if they do pay Micah, I mean, you're talking about 140 million in cap space on three players. That's just going to make your team so much less dynamic. And three of the highest paid at their position, right, if they end up paying Micah. So that's going to be a hard job for the guy in the future. And not only that, with the Eagles being as good as they are with their team, and then the Commanders being as good as they are, no one's really worried about the Giants at this point. But I thought that was interesting that Kellen Moore would, not that he would interview, of course he's going to take the interview, but actually consider that job. So anyway, super excited to get home and preview the games for this weekend. Super excited to watch the games for this weekend. And as always, let's talk some football. Love ya.